Hello friends, welcome back to Desi in Canada, where I share updates on Canadian immigration. I share how to move to Canada faster and how to be successful when you move to Canada. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how to get your study permit faster. It's going to be a super interesting video for you. So stay tuned, make sure you watch it till the very end and share it with whoever is interested in moving to Canada on a study permit. So you're dreaming of studying in Canada, but you're worried that you don't want to wait for 6 months or a year to get your study permit. Look no further. What if I tell you that there is a way to get your study permit for a Canadian university or college in 20 days? And all this is possible through the Student Direct Stream, which is also known as SDS. So in this video, I'm going to talk about who is eligible to apply, what documents are required to apply, and what's the processing time. Students from which countries are eligible to apply through the SDS. So first thing first, what is Student Direct Stream or SDS? So SDS is a program that is managed by the Canadian government to make students come to Canada on study permit easy. They process your applications faster. It's a very simple, streamlined process. In most cases, you get your study permit within 20 days. It's all online. You don't need an immigration consultant or any kind of consultant that would charge you thousands of dollars. Just follow the process from this video, apply, collect all the documents that you need, make sure you're applying it correctly, and come to Canada in 20 days. Some applications might take a little longer, but in most cases, 20 days is what the Canadian government target for. So another thing I want to mention, so SDS is not only about giving you a work permit in 20 days and it's like a fastest possible process. It also ensures that you get into the right discipline, you get into the right college. So they work with you throughout the process and bring you to Canada to be successful here and have a good life or the life that you want. As I mentioned earlier, there are some countries that are eligible to apply for the SDS stream, and those countries are... Before we go any further, please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Subscribing to my channel is not going to cost you anything, but it helps me big time. It keeps me encouraged to make new content for you. Now back to our topic. Antigua, Barbuda, Brazil, China, Colombia, Costa Rica, India, Morocco, Pakistan, Peru, Philippines, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Senegal, Trinidad and Tobago, and Vietnam. So mainly most of these countries are the countries from where people are coming to Canada. They already have good presence in Canada. So this is another way of Canadian government to encourage citizens or encourage students from these countries to come and get their higher education from a Canadian college or a Canadian university. Now let's talk about the documents that you need. First, you need an acceptance letter from a Canadian Designated Learning Institute, which is also known as DLI. A medical exam might also be required based on certain circumstances. So I just want to mention it here that in some cases you might be required to get your medical done. You also need a police verification certificate from your country just to ensure that you don't have any criminal background and you have a police clearance. You also need a provincial attestation letter, which basically shows your intent that which province are you planning to study in. It could be Alberta, it could be Ontario, Quebec, BC, or it could be any province. So you need that letter as well. Proof of language. So you also need to provide proof of language either in English or in French, depending on which province you're going to. For most of the Canada, it's English, but for Quebec, it's French. So that's a very crucial thing, that you have a decent score or a good score in English language. If you're planning to study in Quebec, you need a Quebec acceptance certificate from the ministry in Quebec. So that's very specific to if you're planning to study in a college or university that's in Quebec. Proof of funds is another key requirement. So it's a two-part thing. First is that you need that you have 1 year of fee in your bank account that you use to pay for your tuition for the first year. And you also need a GIC from a Canadian bank to show that you have funds available. Let's talk about GIC. Everyone talks about GIC, and a lot of people ask me that people who are living in Canada, for them, most of them do understand, but people who are not here, it's a little it's a new term for them that, okay, what is a GIC? So GIC it stands for Guaranteed Investment Certificate. So basically, like in our home countries, you put your money in a bank and you invest it for a certain period of time and you get X amount of interest on that. So you have $10,000, you put it in a bank, it's locked in for 6 months or 1 year, depending on the term, and you get a certain amount of interest from the bank to keep the money with their institution. So that's what is called a GIC in Canada, that you have to have a GIC for a certain amount locked into a Canadian bank for, depending on what program you're in. So it could be 6 months, it could be for a year, it could be for 2 years, depending on what program you're in. But you have to have some funds in a GIC locked in, and there are different criteria and different levels of what funds you need based on the type of education you are getting. Canada has a lot of banks, probably over 20-30 banks. There are smaller credit unions, but most people know about the big 5 banks. Just to give you some names of what banks you can have your GIC at, it's RBC, TD, Scotiabank, CIBC, and Bank of Montreal. So these are the 5 major banks that has probably thousands of branches all across Canada and easy to access, good customer service and everything. So you might want to consider one of these banks when you are opening up a GIC. So next is another crucial part, that now you've collected all the documents that I mentioned before. Now how do you apply? So everything is done online. I'll share some links in the description of this video. Everything is done online. Because it's a very fast process, make sure you stay on top of what you're submitting, and you can track your status of the application online as well. And in some cases, they might reach out to you for some clarification or some additional documents. So again, stay on top of the communication during these 20-30 days, however long it's going to take, just to make sure you're not missing out the opportunity of just submitting and then waiting, that they will reach out to you and you miss the email, or in most cases, they will reach out to you via email. So please make sure that you are on top of those communications. And so based on the application, once your application is accepted, you'll receive a letter of authorization or electronic travel authorization document that would basically allow you to travel to Canada. But please note, when you get that document, this document is not a study permit. The study permit will be issued when you land in Canada. First step, they'll provide you with a document that will enable you to travel to Canada. And then when you come here, you'll get the study permit. Now, not all the applications are going to be accepted. What if your application is declined? Don't worry about it. You have the ability to appeal and reappeal a declined application. If you are confident that you have a strong case and you have all the right documents and you met all the conditions, you can definitely appeal your case as an escalation to somebody who looks at the escalation, or a senior level person who can look at your case more carefully and make the decision accordingly. But again, important thing is you need to stay on top of your communication you're applying at IRCC, so make sure you stay on top of that communication. I have heard cases where for a minor inquiry from the IRCC about some document that was submitted, but the candidate was not looking at his emails and he missed that email and he basically missed the deadline. So even though his case was proved, there was a minor clarification, but he was not on top of the communication, so he missed out. So again, I cannot emphasize enough, stay on top of the communication. So this was a short video on SDS, or Student Direct Stream. A lot of people do not know about this, but there is a process to move to Canada, study here, and then there are other processes where you can convert your study permit into a work permit, and then from work permit to a PR, and then make Canada home. Move here and then spend your life here in Canada. So you have to follow the processes. There are a lot of processes that the government has designed to make things easier for people like you. So make sure you take advantage, stay on top of all these updates and changes that are coming. Please like and subscribe and share this video with as many people as you can. It helps me big time. It tells me that you like the content I'm creating, and it keeps me encouraged to make more content like this and spread the information to as many people who can take advantage of such content. Once again, thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video.